This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight.
It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress.
Place to Be Nation. Hello again. After a long-awaited, we say it every time, I don't care, but welcome to the Most Sensational, Inspirational, Celebrational, Muppetational Podcast. Thank you. And that, cheering me on, I am Miranda, and this is my co-host, Double A, for Andy Atherton. How you doing, Double A?
Hello, how are you? So great to be back talking Muppets and having to watch Muppets. This is really, well, it's always a good time to watch Muppets, but,
I love it.
you know, reliving my childhood through this
Yeah.
podcast
It's
and
comfort.
getting to talk to you
Yes.
is always a bright spot. I'm excited that we're back. We've stuff happens, life, whatever, but
Yeah.
we always talk like we're gonna get this to line up, and sometimes it takes a little much for the stars to align.
Yeah.
But we made it here, and very happy to pick up where we left off here in season 2 of the Muppet Show.
So, if you are new here, we have been working our way through the Muppet Show, the original Muppet Show. We did all of season 1. We are, as Andy said, on season 2. We are breaking down 4 episodes at a time. I think there's 120 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
and then we finish a season. We
Yeah.
live watch a Muppet movie. So we've done separate live watches
We have.
because of like holidays or whatever. So, but in this podcast proper, we've done the Muppet movie. So the next one is The Great Muppet Caper, which is my
It's your
favorite
favorite. Mhm.
Muppet movie of all time. It's probably in my top 25 movies anyway, regardless of movies I've seen. So in my life,
Yeah.
so
Muppet
I'm
Caper
excited.
is-
I'm excited to get there.
One of my favorite Muppet movies. But I don't know if it's my favorite. Yeah. I'll just, yeah.
It's okay. And there's no bad. Well,
No.
there's some like that are like Muppet movies, but there's no bad, really terrible Muppet movies.
Oh,
So,
no. And actually, we watched one of my favorites already. It's The Christmas Carol.
mhm.
We did that one already. So today, season 2, we're breaking down episodes 5 through 8.
Mhm.
And we were playing a little game before, and I've lost my paper in true transparency, so I'm going to create a new paper and combine them. But as you know, each episode of the Muppet Show was done in a varietal form, and they always had a special guest that was known at the time very well. And I say at the time because Muppet Show, it began, what was it, Andy, in
78, I think.
78, 79?
Yeah.
This episode actually, we have a production date of June 21st to 23rd, which is impressive that they produced this show in 3 days in 1977.
76 it started. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. It aired in the UK January 29th of 1978, and then we actually got it January 30th. So we're getting better with them being like, sometimes those dates were very far apart. So we're getting a little better here. January 30th of 1978 in America. And our special guest today was Judy Collins. And I have to add her to the I did not know.
Who she was. Okay.
I did not know. Visually, as I was watching her, I kept looking at her going, she looks either like someone, like familiar. You know when you see someone and you're like, they look familiar, but it's not if it's because they look like someone. I still wasn't sure. So I'm just going flat out with like, I didn't know.
I see. I know who Judy Collins is. I don't know a lot about Judy Collins. I know she did. She was a singer, actress. Her big hit was Send in the Clowns, I believe. I don't know if she was a Broadway star or not.
Okay.
But she was not somebody like when I was a kid, like I was not familiar with her at all, like watching this show. And did she make the other list though, Miranda?
She did not. I looked her up and it said that she was born, she's 85.
Oh, God bless her.
She is 85 years old. She was born in 1939. And you were right. She's classified, it says, as an American singer, songwriter, and musician with a career spanning 7 decades. She's an Academy Award nominated documentary director and a Grammy Award winning recording artist. Known for her eclectic taste in the material she records, which has included folk, country, show tunes, pop music, rock, and standards. And she is a social activist. Her discography consists of 36 studio albums, 9 live albums, numerous compilation albums, and 4 holiday albums with also 21 singles. She sounds impressive. Like, I would like to know more about her.
She was big. She was big in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Her rendition of Amazing Grace was selected for the Preservation and National Recording Registry at the Library of Congress. They said it was culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. So go read about her because she's fascinating. I didn't know who she was. I'm glad to see the contributions she made. It sounds like she's probably one of those unknown, unsung heroes of the music world. I wish I had more of her in my life. And I bet if I looked into it, she probably has written stuff for people that, like, we didn't even know it was her. And she married her husband in 1996 and they are still married. Wow. All right.
That's impressive. So, welcome Miss Judy Collins to the stage. This episode is very interesting. It has a lot of Scooter in it.
Yep.
This is the first appearance of Scooter's uncle, who has been mentioned often, but we've never seen, or rarely seen, rather. And this is the first time that the closing credits will continue to roll on curtain call before the returning to closing footage. And Pigs in Space had to be re-recorded for the album. Like, they had to redo it.
Okay.
So, just some fun facts there. So we get our cold open with our beautiful guest star, Judy Collins, and she tells Scooter that she is ready for anything, and a statement proven incorrect by one very explosive Crazy Harry.
Love Crazy Harry. Love it when he pops in,
yes.
Especially with the guest stars.
Yeah, he's great. I think he's one of those, like, often forgotten about, but, like, fantastic Muppets.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's in for a gag, and that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, he's a quick.
He's there for a bang.
Yep. Ha ha! I saw what you did there.
So our Muppet Show theme, though, has Gonzo's horn sounds like a flute. There's always a gag with Gonzo in the O. This time he sounds like a flute. And we get our first official opener. And Judy sings Leather Wing Bat with a brown bat, Harold, and the singing owl. And each creature is directing her to the next. How do you feel about this leather wing bat here?
I thought it was fine. I mean, I
didn't love it. I mean, it was this episode
is okay.
Fine. Maybe we start adding that to the list. Like,
yeah, it was okay. I mean, Scooter's uncle, I liked. I mean, it's not something you'd probably see today. There was no disclaimer on this one. There is a disclaimer on one of the ones we're going to talk about.
In, like, the smoking?
Yeah, like the smoking and the red nose and everything like that. And
we had a disclaimer for that. Not here. You're right. I didn't remember seeing one here. But we've gotten that disclaimer multiple times on, like, for our Disney pod. We've started talking about the disclaimers before. And one was for smoking in, was it Peter Pan? It was for the depiction of Native American
depiction
people,
of the Indians.
But it was also, there was smoking. It was like the smoking of the peace pipe.
Images of smoking, that's a big deal. So yeah, I was a little surprised that we didn't see that, but I did like Scooter's uncle finally making an appearance and then sounding like he's playing Monopoly on the phone, basically when he was talking backstage. But I admire the silhouette puppetry of this song, but to me, it was kind of like, it's targeted towards, like, little kids. So I understand, like, a little kid would find this fascinating, and I probably found it fascinating as well. It's like something you'll see.
I probably did too the first time I watched it.
Like a Ren fair. Like, this is like something you see, like, at a Ren fair. I thought it was just fine, though.
I feel like we're going to say that a lot this episode, and it's no, I don't know. There were some things that I thought were good. So backstage, this is when Kermit Frog finds J.P. Gross, who is Scooter's uncle. He's the owner of the Muppet Theater, and he gets mentioned all the time. Scooter's always like, "I'm going to tell my uncle," or "I'm going to talk to my uncle," and Kermit makes that like "I'm going to" face. This is an inspection tour, and Kermit informs him that their attendance is up, revenue is up, and just about everything is up. But the theater, as JP states, is coming down. He plans on putting in a junkyard. And if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, wasn't it in actually the very first episode, it was episode 1, where Scooter's running around basically saying, if we can't do this, my uncle's gonna something, that's always been a threat.
Yes.
Not necessarily a junkyard, but there's always been a threat of he'll turn us into something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always been lingering.
Right.
That's how Scooter got the job, really.
Oh yeah. Well, nepotism. He's a very early nepo baby. We get one of my favorite reoccurring segments next. Pigs and Space. This is the swine track. And the swine track is preparing to make an electrifying mid-course correction maneuver. First Meet Miss Piggy attended school for just such a maneuver, and therefore is the most qualified to perform it. However, Captain Link Hogthrob is certain she'll forget which button to push, eventually leading to him pushing the button himself. The wrong button.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Pull the lever, Kronk.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was fun seeing them argue over the buttons. Typical, almost like a married couple.
Which I think in these days, even though she has very made it clear already her feelings for Kermie, I think there were a lot of people that really wanted Captain Link and Piggy to be a thing because they do argue. They shipped. Yeah, they were very well shipped. Mm-hmm. But Pigs in Space is always one of my favorites. I love the Pigs in Space segment so much. We do get, I don't know, I think you really like. I think this is a character we both kind of like. We just don't like the characters that normally come along with him. Sam the Eagle is doing an editorial. It's kind of like almost a State of the Union address. Mm-hmm. And he has announced he's disassociating himself from the show.
Because they're all weirdos.
All weirdos. He likes the wholesome. What is it, Wayne and Wanda?
Yeah, it's Wayne and Wanda, which I don't know how much longer we see Wayne and Wanda. They weren't in any of these episodes that we're talking about tonight, so but they kind of go away.
That's normally what he thinks is so wholesome is Wayne and Wanda. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I don't love. I don't love Wayne and Wanda. Yeah, they're okay filler. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The editorial, it was funny enough. No real jokes. I know we usually kind of give you guys the jokes and the punchline. I didn't have anything really written down for that one. Yeah. JP, however, interrupts Kermit's introduction with an examination of the stage floor. He claims that the rotten floorboards could have been prevented had Kermit wiped his feet before coming on stage. Sir. I think Kermit's probably the cleanest frog.
Yeah, probably. He looks clean.
He's pretty clean to me. We get Judy again. I noticed, we talked about this before. I've noticed, my brain, words are hard. We have talked about how you can tell some guest stars are very ingrained in the episode, and then other times they're not. And she really isn't. And maybe that's another reason why it was fine.
Yeah, but maybe I was confused before. I thought we were talking about this sketch. So, but that other sketch was fine. This one, again, the silhouettes, the pot. It was, for this one, it was really just around her performances, right? They kind of, they Muppetized her. Like, they gave her stuff for her to sing, and they kind of built around that, and not the other way around where they insert the guest star into the Muppet sketches. Mm-hmm. So, and it was fine. It's a showcase for her talent, and but she doesn't interact with them as much. in this
No,
one.
she really doesn't.
That's the ones that we kind of, at least that we tend to like, are the ones where they interact with the Muppets more, and as opposed to just performing with them.
I would agree
You
with
know?
that as well. I feel like if I did a quick like run back in my head of like the ones that you and I were like, oh, I love this one, I really feel like it's always the ones where they really interact with the Muppets. And you know what? Based on what she did in life, she was a singer, songwriter, performer. I wonder if she looked at them and was like, I would absolutely have loved to be on, but this is my lane. So who knows? But yeah, the one that you got them flip flopped, that's okay because again, like they're just not as memorable. Like the silhouette thing was cool. You're right. It's very much something you could do it, which I've never done. Have you done that at Disney? Have you had the kids silhouetted at Disney?
I don't know if I've had them. I have a silhouette somewhere of myself as a kid. I got my
When you were a kid, yeah.
I got done, but
I
yeah.
have one, but it's not like a Disney one. I remember when we were in elementary school, we did it for a Mother's Day thing one year. But mine's not like the really professional Disney one. And I didn't know about the silhouettes when I took Caden. We've only been to Disney the one time. And it was his first 10th birthday, and I didn't know about it, or I would have like demanded we do that. Because I have seen some parents that they get the one when they're little, and then they take them back when they're like graduating age.
Yes.
And they're like, listen, I know that you're big for this, but like humor me. And I would have loved to have done that and hung them like, because we have kindergarten cap and gown pictures. I don't know if your kids did that.
No, I don't think we did that.
So we did. They didn't actually cross the stage in like a cap and gown, but they just did like really cute pictures for the parents. So I would have loved to have hung like little kid silhouette with little kid cap and gown, and then like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, which we won't talk about that, but that comes soon. The big kid cap and gown comes very soon for us. But Judy sings "I Know an Old Lady" as the old lady who swallowed the fly. Swallows many animals in an effort to capture the fly. Statler and Waldorf join in on the song, which I did like. I did like Statler and Waldorf joining in on a skit instead of just being like commenting on it from their box.
Yeah. I feel like they want to be part of the show, and we'll see that later too.
We do. Muppet Newsflash, which I usually enjoy, and I hate to say this, but I was like, okay. I must have found this one really funny as a kid, though. I feel like I would have. The Muppet Newsflash is just that the newsman's report catches on fire. It was cute.
Yeah, nothing much to it, though.
No. Miss Piggy finds JP to be strangely attractive, which I thought was weird. So she introduces herself as, Oh, well, that's
he's got money.
He's got money. He can take me places. She didn't say that, but I'm assuming that's what Piggy would say. Because listen, at this point in Muppet Show, her career, Piggy's about the career. Like, she loves Kermie, but like, she wants that career, which we're really going to see in the next movie. Piggy finds herself, though, to be attracted to him, so she introduces herself as the singing talent of the show, and she sings for him. She sings "Call Me Irresponsible," or, well, she tries to sing "Call Me Irresponsible." When JP hears her request to call me, he tells her that there's no money in hog calling.
Ha!
Which is someone who grew up on a farm. I found that pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
And actually, boys and girls, there is money in hog calling, but that's another subject. So, Link Hogthrob, I almost called him Heartthrob because that's what you want to say.
You could just call him Link.
Yeah. Hogthrob is funny though, but that's hard to say for some reason. He tries to sing "I Talk to the Trees," which I had to look at this because, we have repeated songs before. And I looked, and it didn't seem that this was repeated anywhere, but I don't know why in my head I was hearing this song, but with a different character. I don't know. Fever Dream, maybe?
Could be, yeah.
But the trees won't listen anyway, and they wander off.
Yeah, trees are a terrible audience.
So yeah, they're
They're
horrible.
the worst.
Some of our favorite creatures return though. We are on the planet Coosburn. I love the Coosburn. So Kermit though is interviewing. I love interviewer Kermit with his trench coat, sometimes his little hat. It's the best. But he's interviewing a Coosbanian Foob. Isn't that how you say it?
Yep.
And a delicious creature who has learned to adapt to his surroundings to avoid consumption by evolving into the form of whoever is nearby. Which I remember finding this highly fascinating as a child the first time I watched it.
Yeah, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's changing.
What?
And then he turns into Kermit.
Yeah.
Like Kermit's like evil doppelganger.
Yeah, you could tell. You're like, clearly that's the evil. Yeah. But I really like that one. That was part of it that I didn't think was just fine. I enjoyed it. We have our UK spot, which if I remember, I watched this episode a couple of days ago, and a lot has happened in those days. Most of the time we are seeing the UK spots on the Disney Plus. What we're watching through Disney Plus. And it's Sam. He is believing that Statler and Waldorf to be more distinguished than the other Muppets. He's taken to the balcony to interview them. And while he is able to interview Statler, both are unaware that Waldorf has fallen out of the box and is clinging to the edge. He's doing that one man or one hand, help me, cling. Which is kind of funny. I enjoyed that. I mean, it's still, you're still only seeing half of the Muppet, but it worked. It worked.
It did. I like this part.
And we get Judy again, and her and Ralph, the dog, perform a duet of Do Re Mi, which I know, I love Ralph. You don't love Ralph as much.
It comes and goes with Rolf. There are times I think it's like, okay, it's fine, but
I know, it's I can hear Andy going, I like him fine.
I like him fine, but there are other times I'm like, oh yeah, Rolf was really cool here, but Rolf to me, my favorite Rolf is on Muppet Babies, the animated.
Oh
show.
Yes,
that was my
I
favorite
love
Rolf.
Muppet Babies. Sorry, my chair is really squeaky. If you guys are hearing anything, I don't know. So I did like this because I usually like his performances. I think they're really good. So Kermit, I mean, he's still upset, right? Because of JP's plans to demolish the theater. So Kermit is now telling Gonzo about these plans to put in a junkyard in the place. And so naturally Gonzo thinks this is a great idea. Because, I mean, if you watch later movies, that one, you know what? That's my favorite. The Gonzo movie later.
Yep.
That's it. No.
I like it. I don't love it. I like it.
No, I loved it. But I think that fits into a discussion you and I had before when we were talking about how you didn't really do the X-Files and stuff like that. And I'm like, I loved it.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was kind of a departure for me, I guess, from the Muppets that I grew up with.
Yes.
As somebody at the time who was
the change.
You were also younger when that came out than I was.
I was. Mm-hmm.
So it might have appealed to you a little bit more in that sense. Because it was different from the Muppets that I grew up in. It was still the Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
But it just wasn't the same to me. If that's it, you know what I mean?
No, I completely understand. We've talked about this before. You and I have been friends for a long time now, but there is an age gap. And sometimes when we are discussing things, it does, for the most part, our lives align pretty well, but we do have an age gap where sometimes when we talk about things, we're like, oh, that's interesting. That's what you were doing? Well, I was only this, so, and it was 1999. So yeah, I was a young teen.
Yeah, I was 27, so.
Yeah. So.
I did see it. I think I saw it in the theater, but yeah, I was, I was just it was, I don't know, it was, Jim Henson had died by then, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, for me with the post Jim stuff is I don't know, it's in my mind it's just different to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love Muppet Christmas Carol. I love Muppet Treasure Island, but I don't know. For me, it's in my brain, something in my brain says this is different than what you grew up on.
because you literally grew up on the Muppet Show, where I didn't see it until what? We've talked about this. It was considered reruns by the time I got to it.
Yes, I saw them in the original airings.
Like Gonzo came out when I was like the Muppets in Space came out when I was 14. So like I was a young teen, and I would have been like all into this. Mm-hmm. But I do love Gonzo, and he thinks it's a great idea. We get a section that you and I both actually usually love. This is a 2-part sketch. We have Swedish Chef shooting lettuce with a gun. First creating a salad and then Brussels sprouts. Later he tries to shoot a coconut, but instead shoots a rubber chicken and gets hit by a coconut.
He likes to use guns in the kitchen a lot, because we will see him, how he makes donuts and what have you later on.
Oh, yes.
He does, yes, bring firearms into the kitchen quite often.
Which, okay. Okay. He's awful. I don't know. I didn't know the Swedes liked guns, but okay.
Bergen.
Pretty much. Oh my God. So then Scooter learns that he will be out of a job if his Uncle tears down the theater. I guess he wasn't thinking about that, was he? And he agrees to talk to JP and to try to talk him out of it. That is until JP informs Scooter that that he will be in charge of the junkyard. So Scooter goes right to work, just demolishing place. He's like, oh, I have a job either way? Then, okay.
Yeah, we cool.
Yeah, we're good. We get Judy again. She does sing a song, Send in the Clowns. And as these clowns, like, kind of, you know what it reminded me of? Do you remember those photos where, like, the face would be, they'd have, like, 2 faces? These were big in the 80s, early 90s, where, like, the person would be like looking into like off into space, and then their photo face was transposed over that as well, like flipped the other way. That's what I was thinking of when I was watching these clowns pop up.
I don't really have a fear of clowns.
I don't either, but I didn't like
these clowns are kind of freaky, and also, you know what I'm gonna say is like they was Muppet mixed with human, so I was not digging it.
Andy doesn't do the Muppet mix.
Except for the Swedish Chef. I can't. Nope.
So what's funny though is, do you know this song was originally performed on Broadway by Glynis Johns? The song has since become Sondheim's biggest hit and has been performed by Sinatra, Elizabeth Taylor, Shirley Bassey, Barbara Streisand, Judi Dench, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Bernadette Peters. Like, this song has been performed. Wayne and Wanda attempted to sing the song in Muppets Take the Bowl in 2017, and I don't remember that. I'd
have to look that up.
What is Muppets Take the Bowl? It was a live stage show.
At the Hollywood Bowl?
Yeah, it was a live stage show starring the Muppets, performed at the Hollywood Bowl, September 8th, 9th, and 10th of 2017. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it was.
I would have been there for that if I was out in California.
Right? But apparently, so it does get used again, and it's in the Muppets Take the O2.
Jeez, all these Muppet things that I'm like.
Muppets
we're not like
Take O2 was a live stage. Okay, this was for England. This is a live stage show starring puppets performed at the O2. Oh, that's what I thought when I said O2. I was like, that's my cell phone service. So the O2 Arena in London.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We have O2 Arena in Prague as well. But yeah, okay. So it has been performed numerous times, but these clowns. So in the O2 Arena one, though, it says it's to be noted that the Muppets, in both of them, they get chased off the stage by a group of monsters dressed as clowns once they reach the title lyric.
Huh.
So the monsters dressed as clowns would be kind of funny.
Yeah, it probably would, but yeah, these clowns aren't. So.
No, they're not. I will say, Judy Collins' rendition of this song actually landed on the pop charts twice in the 1970s.
Yeah, this was her biggest hit, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of chart topping.
Yeah. So I mean, great for like how they did it, but it wasn't for me. Was not for me. So that kind of brings us to the end of our show. And at closing, we have Judy on stage with Kermit and JP. And JP declares he has decided not to tear down the theater after all, as well, it's likely to fall down anyway.
Yes. Why bother? It's going to take care of itself.
Yeah, why bother? I was impressed because I just noticed this for the first time ever. But the performers on our show for this episode were Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Dave Gozell. I always say his name wrong. It's Gozel, right? Gozell?
Dave Goles?
Goals, yes. I know I always said it wrong. Jerry Nelson and Richard Hunt. Literally, that is all. Five men in 3 days of production.
Wow.
Sorry, that impresses me. It does. There was no really other fun facts. Sometimes we get some really cool fun facts about the episode. This one didn't have anything today. So, sorry, I am not yawning. No, Miranda's not yawning. However, there is a nice little thunderstorm going on outside, so
It's soothing.
It is soothing. Any final thoughts about episode 205?
No, it was nice. I could see at the time, I think Send in the Clowns is around the time Send in the Clowns probably was on the charts.
Right.
So it makes sense for her to be on the show.
Sure.
But for me, there wasn't enough. I mean, I don't know. Again, she doesn't interact with them enough. And there's not enough, for me, I look to the Muppets for comedy, and there wasn't enough of it. I mean, there were funny stuff on the show, but she didn't bring any comedy. And, not all comedians, not all non-comedians, they can be funny too. You know what I mean?
Do you hear that?
No.
Oh, it's kind of like when you think I can hear the cat snoring, and you're like, I'm like, no. The rain is so hard in here, it literally sounds like I have a fan sitting right beside me blowing. It's crazy. Anyway, so we'll move right on to 206. I'm with you. It was fine. I already mentioned the parts that I really did enjoy. But 206 was our special guest, Nancy Walker. This was production date of June 28th, 29th, and 30th of 1977. Premiered in UK. Premiered in America first this time, October 24th of 77, and then in the UK, 28th. For anyone that needs it, you can get transcripts of this show. Just throwing that out there. There's a Muppet Wiki that I discovered you could get transcripts if that's something that you need.
Does she make the list? Are there list?
I didn't know her. Her face is so familiar, but I didn't know her.
See, I knew her. It's funny is that she had a nice career. She was on Blansky's Beauties, which was a spinoff of Happy Days. She was Rhoda's mother Rhoda was a spinoff. Rhoda. Yeah, she played Rhoda's mother, I believe. And then also she was on The Love Boat. But how I remember her the most is she did commercials for Bounty paper towels.
Really?
She was the quicker picker-upper lady.
Quicker picker-upper?
Yes.
I didn't realize that. Okay, so this is one of those, now that you tell me she was on Rhoda, she was on Love Boat, I didn't recognize her at all. Unfortunately, however, she does make the other list.
Yes.
She sadly passed away. She was born May 10th of 1922. She passed away at age 69 in Studio City, Los Angeles at March 25th of 1992. Apparently, she also went by Nan Bartow, and Nancy Walker was her stage name. She also was gone by Nan Bartow, but she was actually born Anna Myrtle Sawyer. I find that interesting.
The studios used to change the names of people all the time, so.
Oh, all the time. All the time. Because, look, Marilyn Monroe was not Marilyn Monroe.
Yep. Oh, yeah, a lot of them. John Wayne.
Oh, absolutely. He was my dad's favorite. She had a 5-decade-long career, and they said may she be best remembered for her long-running roles as Mildred on Macmillan and Wife, Ida Morgenstern, who appeared in several episodes of The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and later became prominent recurring character on the spin-off series Rhoda. I think Rhoda was, my mom loved Rhoda, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but so unfortunately, now that you tell me who she is with a little explanation, I know who she is. But she can't get moved. Technically, I didn't know who she was. So, few fun facts about this episode. Jim Henson actually had to leave early during the taping of this episode, and ironically, the show's writers and producers had trouble figuring out how to do certain scenes. In a similar way to how Fozzie was struggling to run the show, which is going to be a recurring theme that we're going to talk about in a moment. The giant chicken scene in this episode was the same chicken costume that Harvey Korman was outfitted in when he was a guest in episode 110. This episode is also the first time that the Swedish chef will appear outside of one of his own sketches. Oh, and then, despite being sick for most of the episode, Kermit will be apparently enough to do his opening duties in the opening theme. They apparently didn't think about that and later were like, oh, if he was sick. Yeah. So we do get our cold open. We have Scooter calling for our guest, Miss Nancy Walker, to stand by, but she can't even stand up.
Yep.
How'd you feel about that monster, by the way?
That monster's fine. You see him around.
He's funny. I think he doesn't look like a human. He's overly large, but he's not a human. So
nope.
This time we get our theme with Gonzo's trumpet fires off to gunshots. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot could have been learned from the stage props before we ever had that incident. But I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. Too soon. So at our show's open, some people are like, what is she talking about? Anyway, the show's opening, Fozzie Bear comes on stage to announce that Kermit has just phoned to say he's sick and has thus left Fozzie in charge. So with a little help from Scooter, Fozzie barely.
Yeah.
Fozzie barely makes it through the introduction. I'm better at puns than Fozzie is. Poor Fozzie. Crazy Harry with a troop of whatnot soldiers blow up houses, trees, and airplanes to the tune of Night Train.
Everything except for the target.
It's very much a Star Wars thing going on where you're like
Stormtrooper aim.
Yeah, Stormtrooper aim 100%. So there's actually, of course, if you don't know what Night Train is an R&B song, very standard in the world of music. The most popular version was recorded by James Brown in 1962. It's I enjoyed this. I actually did. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. No, I like that stuff.
I love whatnots. Once you and I dug into what the whatnots actually are, which, God, that's a mouthful. For anybody that doesn't remember, whatnots are essentially blank Muppet heads. That they just randomly throw facial features and bodies and clothes to make just whatever character they want to at the moment. Yeah. So it's like these, I imagine this room of probably terrifying room of Muppets with no eyeballs or anything.
I always said if I work in TV. If I ever worked on a Muppet project and I walked in and they're all just sitting there.
Oh,
I would freak me the hell out.
My son, he'll go staring at me menacingly. Mm-hmm. I don't know where he got it from. I'm sure it's from a Vine or YouTube or something, but Caden, that's what I think of when you talk about a room of just Muppets just sitting there. I think I hear Caden going, just staring at me menacingly. So poor Fozzie's still really trying to figure this out, and he is assuring Kermit that everything at the theater is going fine. Gonzo informs the bear that there's nothing on stage and no one in the audience. So Fozzie rushes to call the audience back and introduce their guest star. So Fozzie introduces the next sketch featuring the incredibly talented, unforgettable, and of course he forgets Nancy Walker's name as he says that. When Fozzie realizes that he is also in the sketch, though, he calls Scooter out to stall while he gets in his costume. And Scooter does so by trying to sell magazine subscriptions to the audience. Which, if you were a kid, listen, if you were a kid in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you understand what selling a magazine subscription.
Yes. Oh, my God.
They don't do it so much anymore. Oh. So Side note, apparently the schools still do this. I don't know. My nieces and nephews recently did this, and there were only 4 magazine options. And I was like, what the heck is this?
Yes, because nobody reads magazines anymore.
I ordered 2 different subscriptions as gifts for my mother-in-law because one was like all recipes and the other one was Better Homes and Gardens, and I thought she would enjoy those. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the only other options were a kids magazine and Sports Illustrated.
Oh, makes sense.
I was like, okay, that's literally the only option. Oh, but yes, if you are anywhere in mine and Andy's age, you feel for Scooter. Tell him those magazine subscriptions were important and hard. Damn it, you wanted your pizza. I don't know what you guys got, but we usually, when we were young, we got a pizza party. And as we got older, you could go on trips. Yeah. So, funny enough, Fozzie tries to serve Nancy at a luncheon counter, which I love this. This whole, like, old school ice cream counter kind of thing is what I would call them. But every time he does, the luncheon counter monster eats whatever he brings to her. I loved luncheon counter monster.
Yeah, he's been in other sketches.
He has.
You know, the whole monsters eating thing kind of scared me as a kid at times. Like they would eat people and things like that. But
I know you said that used to bother you when you were a kid.
But this is pretty funny because it's like, you know, he's doing this while they're not looking, and then they finally like catch on, and they trap him in it. But yeah, it's pretty funny, and then Nancy gets in on the act.
One of my favorite pictures of and he gets his name from appearing in this show, but one of my favorite pictures of him because he's like this purple shaggy like monster thing, and they do what?
He looks a little like a cat.
He kind of does. I was trying to decide what I thought he looked like, but you're right. But they have this photo of him up on one of the wikis, and he's just holding all these like daisy flowers. And I don't know why, but I found that like really funny. So we're backstage, and Fozzie overhears Gonzo telling Kermit about everything that's been going wrong on the show, and he moves quickly to stop him. And then Fozzie introduces the next sketch, which is Miss Piggy picks up the phone to tell Kermit that she's dedicating the hospital sketch to him, because remember, he's sick. So Rolf the dog arrives to inform Piggy that they can't do the hospital sketch because Fozzie has just introduced at the dance. Giving us a twofer, because you and I both love Veterinarian Hospital.
Yep.
So today, boys and girls, we get Veterinarian's Hospital at the dance.
Yes,
our hospital crew. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was fun. The mashup. It's not something I want to see all the time, but it was fun.
No.
It was fun for the one time they did it because a lot of dance puns and what have you. You know, because that's really all Veterinarian's Hospital is. It's just all full of puns.
Yeah, and so is the dance, really. They just make jokes the whole time. Yeah. I know that's what I thought was funny is here drops the chandeliers. So you're in this, like, operating room for Veterinarian's Hospital, but they're at the dance. So they've got, like, the chandeliers and everybody's dancing. They're making jokes about each other, and Fozzie peeks out the door realizing he's messed up, which I think was a beautiful mess up. Like it was a happy accident. There you go, happy accident. So with the show kind of falling apart, rather, it appears Fozzie that he's thinking like things can't possibly get worse, and he finds out the crew is threatening to walk out, starting with Harvey. Harvey is our lighting guy. Harvey is like, if I remember, have we seen him before, or does he just look like another Muppet?
He just looks like another Muppet.
Oh, he just looks like another Muppet. Okay, so Harvey is like, he's gonna walk out, but that's okay, because we have to go to our UK spot. And Burlington Birdie sings My Old Dutch, assisted by Rolf on the piano. And the song even brings Statler and Waldorf to tears. So I thought this was pretty cute. Old Burlington Birdie was adorable.
Yeah, it was a nice one.
Yeah. I do most of the time enjoy those UK spots. There's been, I think, one or two where you and I are like, what did we just watch?
Yeah, well, it's usually like a song, that's why.
I don't remember why. We looked up once, and my brain is failing me on why UK had an additional spot. I think it was something to do with the commercial runtime, wasn't it?
Yeah, the commercial runtime for the UK is.
Their commercial runtime, even now, it's gotten longer, but their commercial runtime in the UK, because we do watch a lot of like BBC and Sky Sports and stuff, and it is significantly shorter than an American one for sure.
Yeah.
So we have a man listening to the singing of several birds, including his own pet bird that's in a cage, until Giant Chicken crashes through the wall and puts him in the cage.
Andy no like Giant Chicken.
Giant Chicken was
Chicken was freaky. It was like,
yeah.
Because you know what it was? Because the proportions were not chicken, if that makes sense.
No.
It was clearly a human in a chicken suit.
Well,
Which,
yeah.
okay, we're watching a show with puppets, for crying out loud, so suspend your disbelief. Yes, I get that. But it stands out to me.
Well, it makes sense, because what is it? It said Giant Chicken was the same costume that Harvey Korman was outfitted with.
Yes.
So, yeah, it literally was made for a human to be in.
And then he, like, picks up, though, the guy and puts him in the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my nightmare.
Yeah, this one was like, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we get Nancy again, which honestly, we had her in the cold open. We had her at the lunch counter. We're getting her again in her dressing room. She
interacts with the, because here's the thing about Nancy Walker. She played
She's a comedian.
She played a lot of moms. Like a
she
mother.
Did.
She was a motherly. She was generally a motherly figure. So, and that's how she kind of talks to the Muppets. They kind of come to her for advice and things like that. So she kind of gives them some motherly, the way they talk to people, the way she talks. You could definitely see that here. That's where they kind of played into her.
Yeah.
So
they went to her strengths, which I couldn't applaud. So they are in Nancy's dressing room. Fozzie is trying to reassure Nancy that the show is right on track, but he's having trouble kind of convincing himself. And as Andy said, this is where her like kind of motherly instinct comes in. And Nancy tries to cheer Fozzie up by singing "Pick Yourself Up," and it works until Nancy reminds Fozzie that it's just a song and the show really is in trouble. Which I was like, oh my God, that's just like a mother. It's all gonna be fine. But listen, it really is life, dear. So you got to figure it out. Sam the Eagle doesn't disappoint again. He is decided to give another State of the Union. They call them editorials, but it's a Sam of the Union. That's what's happening. And he's complaining that underneath, he's complaining about nudity. Mm-hmm. And what I found the funniest is that he says, well, the entire population of the world, underneath their clothing, they're naked.
Yes. And then he realizes that he's naked under his feathers.
Which I did find that cute. Because that kind of is, in a way, the joke when we were growing up where they were always like, picture everyone naked, Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kids do worry about that. So when he was like, oh, I'm naked too, like it made everyone relatable, essentially. We get Nancy. She's in her dressing room again. And Piggy pops in to borrow a brush. When Nancy allows this, Piggy starts to talk about how motherly, as Andy said, Nancy is. She's mirroring the roles that she plays on television, and Nancy tries to correct her, but is interrupted by a phone call from Kermit. Nancy offers the sick frog some motherly advice, but their conversation is cut short when what does Piggy learn?
He learns that Kermit has swine flu. Swine flu!
Hiya! Which that is a hysterical joke, but swine flu is no joke.
No.
No.
No, we here at Place to Be Nation Pop do not endorse swine flu.
But we do not.
But when a pig and a frog are talking about an illness, and it is, yes, it's fine.
It's so hysterical.
It's funny. I don't care who, as Mater would say, it's funny. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I don't care who you are either. It is funny. However, the 2 weeks of swine flu that went through our house back in the 2008, no bueno. We are finally backstage. We are no longer in Nancy's dressing room. Poor Nancy. Fozzie tells Scooter that he feels too ashamed to go back out on stage, and Scooter offers Fozzie a letter from Nancy to cheer him up, which reads, "Dear Fozzie, I just want to tell you what a pleasure it was working with you on your show. You're really terrific. The frog's been holding you back."
Yeah.
Oh, now Fozzie's ready for this introduction. He goes to the stage, leaving the note behind for Scooter to read. And of course, Scooter doesn't have to read it. Why doesn't Scooter?
Wrote it.
He wrote it. Listen, Scooter gets a bad rap sometimes, but at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, we just saw him last episode, like, being like, oh, well, I'm going to be the boss of that job too? Well, then peace out. But I think at the end of the day, Scooter really does enjoy this. He really does kind of think that they're his friends. At least that's how I've interpreted it. Gonzo, though, however, interprets Fozzie's introduction, or he interrupts his introduction to remind him not to forget Nancy Walker's name this time, even offering Fozzie a little helpful suggestions for remembering it. Fozzie assures Gonzo that he will not forget their guest star's name, and then, what does he forget to do? He doesn't even introduce her. Oh, Sweetums.
Yes, I love the dance here.
This one was good. I will give him that.
I mean, yeah, because I Sweetums to me, because of how early on he was part of the Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's proportioned like a monster. So,
He is, yeah.
and he's, and plus, you give this scary looking thing this name, Sweetums.
And he is kind of sweet, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he is. Plus, he's also, I've talked about Muppet Vision several times. He's in Muppet Vision as part of the show. And no, I mean, I love anytime we get a Sweetums appearance. He's okay in my book. He's my favorite of the big Muppets, I guess you want to say.
They do this like, what would you call it? Kind of like Frank Sinatra.
It's a musical number.
Yeah, it's a very musical number. It's called They Can't Take That Away From Me. It's a standard song, very beautiful. This song has been recorded over the years. Again, it's another one. Bing Crosby. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it was Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, those kind of things.
Yeah, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra did it. Oh, I was right. Ella Fitzgerald and Tony Bennett. So, yeah. I kind of like the idea of when they have a new song, but I also like them taking like a popular song that people would have known. Yep. And incorporating it in a way that's fun, because I know you mentioned earlier some of the skits that were like we don't really like, and we're like, wait, as kids we probably love them, but this was them trying to make a show. I don't want to say the first time, because listen, I'm not super well versed on some television before a certain date, and that would make sense, right? I was born in 85, so most of the things that had come on in the 70s at this point were reruns, and I was watching them because they were like my mom or my grandmother's like favorite thing. But I feel like this is one of the times that they really are trying to bridge the gap of a show that was for kids, but it was for adults as well. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the whole point.
Exactly. Appeal to the kids, but also give the parents something to, like, want to watch.
Right. So we get the closing, and Kermit shows up to give Nancy Walker at least a good introduction, but he messes it up.
He's still sick.
Yeah, he's still sick. So Nancy actually gets back at Fozzie by forgetting his name.
Comes full circle.
Full circle. Mm-hmm. So fun fact. Oh, God. Nickelodeon cut Sam's speech on nudity.
Oh.
So that would mean probably the episode that I saw was I never saw that.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was on the UK spot for CTS, which that was Canadian Television Service, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. CTS. They cut out all Dutch from the UK.
Oh.
I don't know why, but.
Yeah, I don't know either.
2, 3, 4, 5. Again, same 5 men are the only ones that worked on this. Like, well, they were the only performers. They were not the only people to work on this. There were so many. Overall, I enjoyed this episode better than I did 205.
Yeah, I like this episode. It's very like it's like upper middle for me.
Mhm.
That's where I would put it. If we were to rank all the episodes, it would be like in the upper middle, I would think.
We've always talked about like how it's actually extremely hard sometimes to not just here, but like on the Disney podcast that we do with our friend Steve, like sometimes ranking is like impossible.
Yeah.
It's really
No.
hard.
No, I mean, it's funny too, is like as we scroll through these and I'm looking at like these episodes, sometimes I'm getting like flashbacks, like memories are kicking in
Of
at
course.
times, and I'm like looking forward to some of them, and other ones I just think like, oh, I don't remember exactly what happened on that episode, but look at the guest star. I know I'm gonna enjoy that one, rewatching that one again, because I'll be honest, a lot of these are things like I have not watched since I was a kid. So
No, there's a lot of them I also have not seen since the like rewatching them because of this. Is like the first time I've watched this. So episode 207 is where we now lie. Production of July 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. So we got another day this time of 1977 for it to air in October 10th of 77 in America and November 11th of 77. This is released on season 2, but also it was released on a collection Best of the Muppet Show.
okay.
Yeah. And this one's fascinating because we've talked about this last name before. Our special guest this time is Edgar Bergen. And for those of you that remember or even know who she is, she's fascinating. Fantastic Candace Bergen. His daughter appeared in season 1, I believe.
Yeah, she was in season 1. Now, this may be, we'd have to go through the whole list, but this may be the only father-daughter combination to have hosted the Muppet Show.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but I don't know that there is another father-daughter.
I don't think so. Or relatives even. I'd have to go and check.
I'm not sure. For those that don't know, I mean, because I was a person that, listen, I recognized the name and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Candace Bergen's dad, but I wasn't super familiar with him. Although when he pulled out some of his dummies, I was like, I do recognize that. He was a very famous American ventriloquist. He's also a comedian and actor and vaudevillian. I always butcher that word. That's so hard. Vaudevillian performer. Sadly, he joins Miss Nancy in the other category, and he passed away at age 75 on September 30th of 1978. The man was born in Chicago in 1903. It sounds like he had an amazing career. He actually was a Swedish immigrant, or he was the younger son of 2 Swedish immigrants. So he probably was maybe born here, but or here. I'm not even here where I'm saying, but his parents were Swedish immigrants, and he was best known for his characters Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snurd. He was kind of the pioneer of what we consider modern day ventriloquism, and he's been described by puppetry organization UNIMA, which is as the quintessential ventriloquist of the 20th century. Of course, they also say, and he was the father of the talented actress Candace Bergen.
Yep, and we've talked about him before, actually, on a podcast, Miranda.
We have.
Because he was part of Fun and Fancy Free on the Disney Pod.
Absolutely. So we did talk about him.
And he was in the Muppet movie as well.
Yes, he was.
Very short appearance, though.
Fascinating. Ventriloquism, I find highly fascinating and also a little scary. And I recognized his dummies, actually. Why? I don't know. But I did. So I overall will say, because of him, I really enjoyed this show.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
So we have 2 fun facts. Louise Gold is now a full-time performer starting with the season, though she is going to be uncredited until the next season. And her voice can be heard during our song that we're going to discuss called Considering Yourself. And then we have a shot of chickens in the audience following the opening number, which was previously used after Gonzo's Dancing Chicken Act in 2004. In fact, because of this, it appears that T.R. Rooster is both on stage and in the audience at the same time. I love little mess ups like that. I mean, listen, I don't really love like Starbucks cup and the Game of Thrones mess ups. Although those are funny, but like this kind of stuff is really funny because there's a lot of Muppets you have to consider the placement of and be like, oh crap, well they couldn't be there and there. We get our cold open when Scooter calls for guest Edgar Bergen, and he is comforting Charlie McCarthy, who cannot believe his eyes when he meets Blue Frackle. And the Blue Frackle cannot believe his eyes either when he meets a man, or he meets a stick of wood that talks, rather. Which I thought was funny. Listen, ventriloquism. That's a hard word.
Yeah, ventriloquism, yes.
Yes. It's fascinating. Yeah. Our Muppet Show theme, Gonzo's trumpet fires a gunshot, kicking him back out of the frame this time. So we got a gunshot before, but this time it happens again and it knocks him kind of back.
It was like a shock.
Yeah. This, as mentioned, TR the rooster conducts a chicken choir who clucks out Babyface.
Yeah, a lot of chickens in this episode.
Lots of chickens in this episode, which makes me wonder, we've talked about this before. Do the special guests say, this is what I really like, or this is what I'm really into?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Edgar Bergen loved chickens. Who knows?
Maybe
Grew up on a
he loved
farm. Maybe.
So this song is actually in Muppet Baby Live, by the way.
Yeah, I remember Muppet Babies doing that song.
Muppet Babies Live. Piggy sings this song as well, again with 3 pigs as backup in Muppets Go Hollywood. And in the same manner as the Muppet Show version, the Muppet performers and their chicken voices perform the song at Jim Henson's memorial.
Aww.
Yeah. They also included it in Sesame Beginnings video. Beginning Together, Cookie Monster's grandma sings a spoof of this song called Funny Faces.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did not know until recently that they sing that at his memorial, and I was like, oh my
I didn't
God.
know that either.
Yeah. Oh, I had a fact you didn't know. What?
Yeah.
Woo! So backstage, I know that usually doesn't happen. I'm like, what? Lots of chickens again. So backstage, Kermit is confronted by the singing chickens who are having issues with their dressing room, and Kermit assures them that he will look into the building a coop out back. Anything to avoid a chickens union.
Mm-hmm.
Kermit then also meets Charlie McCarthy for the first time, who proves that he can be difficult and trying, but he can also be difficult without trying. That's, I think, going to be my new description of myself when I heard that. He can difficult and trying. Yeah. So, Fozzie, Gonzo, Scooter, Janice, the Uncle Deadly, the chickens, the pigs, monsters. Did I forget anyone? Then join Kermit in welcoming Edgar and Charlie to the family by singing Consider Yourself.
Mm-hmm. Which I sang in high school when I was in Oliver.
Did you?
Consider yourself one of us. Do, 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 do. At home, part of the family, we've taken to you so strong. Yeah, it was a fun one because it's like,
Oliver.
Consider yourself a Muppet, basically.
Yeah. Which, side note, you brought up Oliver, which that's where this song is from. And we were talking about Disney Plus. There is a really great, shame on Disney Plus, it only ran for 1 season. I think it may be initially done by Starz.
The thing on Hulu, I think.
It wasn't Oliver Twist. It was it's called Dodger, the Artful Dodger.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It was a Hulu show.
Highly recommend. I really wish it had. I don't know who to talk to. That maybe knows people in the TV world. But
I don't work for Hulu.
No.
If I'm calling Hulu up, I'm yelling at them about canceling Reboot. That's the first thing I'm yelling at them about. So I have not watched this. It's on my TV time list, but I have not watched it yet.
Highly recommend TV Time though. I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
I love TV Time. It really
Yeah.
Oh God, my OCD. Oh my God.
Oh, I know, right? Like I have ADHD and I need lists. So for anyone that doesn't know what TV Time is, it is an app where you can go through and you can select movies now too. But when it
Yep.
first came on, it was just actually when it first came on, it was cool because if you watched shows, you got these little like sticker buttons you could collect. And if you watched it live, you got one sort of sticker. Anyway, it doesn't do that anymore. But what it does is it marks off the episodes that you have already watched of something.
It tracks them, yeah. It tells you when new ones are
tracks
coming,
them.
and
Yeah, oh yeah, and it tells you like especially for me because I don't always get the same like ads and stuff you guys do. So it tells me for me like, hey, your show's coming back on. This is your air date. Fascinating. Highly recommend. It is completely free. You do have to create an account. You can follow your friends on there. Which Andy, I don't know. You and I aren't following each other. I only follow like my grandmother and 2 other people.
Well, we will take care of that.
Yeah, we will. But anyway, side note, since you brought that up, it's not something I've ever mentioned, I don't think, but totally worth the like couple of minutes it takes to download and sign up for an account. And I think so. I will say, I accidentally linked mine to my Twitter years ago. Because it asked me if you wanted to. And because I never use my Twitter, my X, excuse me. I never use it. And I logged in there the other day, and apparently every time I was marking off an episode of something, it puts out a tweet. And I was like, my bad. And sometimes I will watch a bunch of stuff like throughout the week, and then like, oh, I didn't mark that off. And so I'll mark off like
I know, it's like Ella and I watch the show together, like, oh, got to mark it off.
Yeah, got to mark it off.
She has it too.
When you binge, though, you forget. And then you're like, wait, how many did we watch? Yeah, but it's fantastic for that purpose. But anyway, back to the Muppets, that you can use TV Time to mark off.
Yep.
My favorite quote from this, though, after Consider Yourself, somebody goes, or Charlie, the dummy, goes to Bergen. He says, Bergen, this is not a television show. This is a zoo.
Oh, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Muppet News Flash. We haven't had one. Well, I was disappointed by the last one. Yeah. What happens?
Forgot to wear his pants.
Forgot to wear his pants. Which I remember as a kid at first being confused by this. And then when an adult was like, can you even see that he doesn't have pants?
Ah.
And then I thought it was hysterical. We get a Gonzo stunt. We haven't really had one of those in a while.
Yeah.
Gonzo, who is blindfolded, wrestles a brick.
A red brick while blindfolded and loses. Only Gonzo. It wasn't Jake and the model Rick Martel at WrestleMania. I can't look. I had terrible memory, so I couldn't tell you what number. I can't tell you which number, but they did a blindfold match. This was not that.
I have strong thoughts about those Paul people. Anyway, that's for another time. But they did a blindfold fight?
Yeah, they did a blindfold match, yeah.
Oh my god.
They had they had the bags over their heads almost, like, and they, yeah, because the gimmick was not to sidebar into a wrestling, but the Rick Martel was a heel. He was the model.
Yes.
So he had it looked like one of those things of like you spray like bug spray out of, like one of those things with the pump on it.
Oh yeah, like for your yard.
It was his cologne called Arrogance, and he would spray it in his opponent's eyes, and they would be temporarily blinded. So that was kind of what it was. It was like, okay, well, you're gonna blind me. We're both gonna be blind in this match. So that's kind of what it was.
Well, Kermit's not blind, at least, and is trying to get the next sketch on stage. Fozzie interrupts. Fozzie is good at interrupting him.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at interrupting him.
He
wants to ask for supplies for his act. And listen, I love this because this actually, we end up seeing this guy several times, if I remember correctly, from like we said, some of these episodes we were rewatching them for the first time. But he needs supplies for his act. He has been so impressed with Edgar Bergen's ability to get screams of laughter with Charlie McCarthy that Fozzie has decided to do his own ventriloquist act. Do you remember what Kermie says?
No, actually.
I wrote this, my favorite part. He goes, there he goes, the dummy and his dummy.
Ah! I knew we had to say something like that. Kermie can throw some zingers in there.
Yeah, he can.
Throw some barbs.
I feel like, though, Kermie is one of those people that, like, he is really great at sarcasm, but I don't know if he entirely understands sarcasm.
Yes.
He's like my child that way. We get another... Oh, sorry?
No, I was going to say, Fozzie's a dummy. Oof.
Yeah, we have talked about that, but I adore Fozzie.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are again with Pigs in Space.
Yes. Yeah. It is very was it now the word it's giving me very anti-feminist sketch for Pigs in Space.
Yeah, there were a few, honestly.
I mean, but it's part of the joke, I think.
Yeah, it is. So the swine track. It's on the verge of a hideous catastrophe. Dr. Julius Strangepork determines that the only one with skills to pull them out of this is First Mate Piggy. Only she can operate the independent heating unifying element across the horizontal equalizing plane.
And iron.
Mm-hmm. Iron laundry.
Mm-hmm.
Which America has its own version of that going on right now. But yeah. Maybe he should have took some notes from if you want it to be funny, he should have watched Pigs in Space and Julius Strange.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep, there you go. We get the UK spot. Ralph the dog singing the Groucho Marx song "Show Me Your Rose."
It was fine.
It's
an interlude.
Yeah. Again, it's to soak up some time.
Mm-hmm.
Which, listen, it's like you said. Sometimes you like him, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Fozzie stops by Edgar's dressing room to get advice for his act to meet Mortimer Snurd.
Mortimer, you could definitely see where Jeff Dunham took influence from Edgar Bergen because Bubba J is really Mortimer Snurd.
For sure. So. Which I haven't watched him in quite some time. Is he still actively doing new
actively
bits?
doing. Yeah, I think you'll see. I think he's doing new specials and touring. Yeah.
I know my mother-in-law absolutely loves him, and she was just talking about him the other day, and I was thinking to myself, like, I need to look and see if he's actually doing anything new. Like, but Mortimer's interesting to say the least. Mortimer questions whether or not he's even there. Because he wasn't there the day before. He rarely travels, so he probably isn't.
Yeah. Well, because Charlie McCarthy was really the A-list.
He was like the main dummy, essentially.
Yeah, Mortimer was like, second, and by a long stretch.
So Fozzie and his comedy acts, which Fozzie's comedy acts always actually end up turning out funny, but not quite the way Fozzie had anticipated. He tries to perform with Chucky. Now, that's what I was talking about. I'm pretty sure Chucky ends up being reoccurring.
Yeah, I think he comes back.
Because I was like, I remember Chucky a lot as a kid, and I don't know why, but I thought he was great. So Fozzie's trying to perform with Chucky. This is one of the skits that when you said, let's do the Muppet Show, and I was like, absolutely. This is one I remembered. I remember specific Pigs in Space. There's a song we'll get to later, the Rockin' in the Treetops. Tweet.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Tweet.
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorites. And this. So Fozzie's trying to get this dummy to cooperate. Fozzie is getting desperate. He is begging Chucky to just say something. It's kind of like a kid when you're like, say mama. Say Dada, say Mama. He's trying so hard. Finally, Kermit has come out to explain to Fozzie what ventriloquism actually is. And then once Fozzie understands, he performs his act. Chucky, who was that lady I saw you with last night? And he's muffled as Chucky. It's like, ooh, that was no lady, that was my wife. When Fozzie, yeah. So Fozzie leaves the stage, but he leaves Chucky on the stage. And he comes to life and says, actually, I spent the night alone. I'm telling you, that's one of my all-time favorite skits in the show. I don't know why. I really can't explain why. I just always loved that one so much.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It is. We get a scientist, I don't know, just a random scientist, not our scientist, but we get one that sings Time in a Bottle while gradually growing younger as he creates different potions. Finally, at the end, he explodes, returning him to his original age.
Yeah, they've done they do Time in the Bottle more than once.
Yes, they have. The original version of the song was used in a 2016 ad for iPhone 6X, or 6S, which featured Cookie Monster, by the way. We also have it on, I'm trying to see where else we had it performed. I'm not seeing it. I mean, it's performed in a lot of places, but
yeah, I just think I remember them doing Time in the Bottle more than once on the Muppet Show. Maybe we just haven't gotten to it yet.
Maybe. I'm not finding it anywhere, but I'm going to say you're correct because you're usually pretty right at those things. I didn't know about I don't remember the 2016 ad with Cookie Monster, though.
No, neither do I.
I wonder if maybe it wasn't like in all areas. I don't know.
That was so the last decade.
I know, right? I'm like, listen, there's very few. It takes a lot for me to remember a commercial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all remember like the Budweiser ones and the like, some of the like, yeah, you know, like those.
What's that?
Yeah.
Budweiser.
Yes. Like there's some that you're gonna remember, but I don't remember that. Chickens are back though.
Yeah, Chicken's playing the piano. What else could you ask for?
I think Chicken's playing the piano is kind of fun. This one is they play Down at Papa Joe's. It's just they just say performed by several chickens on the piano.
Yeah, I mean,
but this
actually
this ends up getting released a couple of times. They put it on Ralph's Rhapsodies with the Muppets in 1985, and they put it in 1993 out on the video It's the Muppets Meet the Muppets. So like where they pick different bits and just compilations essentially.
Okay.
Sattler and Waldorf, though, they hate this. They hate the act until they are threatened by Andy's favorite giant chicken.
I know that fucking chicken. I know I sound like Alan Arkin from Little Miss Sunshine. Again with the fucking chicken?
Oh my god, oh, that is such a good movie. We get Edgar back, and he comes with Charlie for their final act, or for their act, rather. And Charlie explains that he has enjoyed himself on the show, as there isn't much else to enjoy. Charlie takes turns insulting the various Muppets, all because he's lonesome and he misses companionship of a gorgeous female. Enter Miss Piggy. None other than,
somebody left the sty open.
Yes, Charlie decides to just offend her too. So she tries to hiya, but she ends up hurting.
She calls him an overdressed Splinter.
Yes, because he's solid oak. We get closing though, and Charlie's afraid to go back on stage. I mean, he's like, not if Piggy's there. Kermit assures him that there's no one on stage but a frog. Charlie then tries to explain to Kermit what they used to do to frogs in biology class. Did you ever have to do that to a frog in biology?
Oh, yes. In high school. Mm-hmm.
You did? So I did not. Because
you do all kinds of stuff, yeah.
We didn't do the worm. We didn't do the frog. Because I was in an ag science class, so you could take biology or you could take honors agriculture.
Hmm?
And we dissected a cow's heart.
Oh, they also had fetal pigs, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have to do the fetal pigs either. We did a cow heart.
Hmm.
So when this episode aired on Nickelodeon, which was when I would have been doing my watch through, or we had it on VHS as well. Gonzo's brick wrestling act was cut out.
Oh.
And so was Statler and Waldorf commenting on the chickens playing piano.
Oh, okay.
And as I was watching this, I couldn't figure out why.
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know. So this is the first time, as I mentioned before, when we get to the performers, Louise Gold actually shows up. Her name actually shows up. It's uncredited, but we finally get her. She apparently was notated for working as an assistant on the show quite often. So congratulations, Louise, for being one of, the reason I brought them up is because of her, is we've had just the 5 names this whole time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. Not only do we get a 6th person working on the show, but it's a female. I thought that was important to note. And how do we feel about this episode with Mr. Edgar Bergen?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Again, it was. I mean, out of the 4 episodes, it's probably number 3. It's better. I liked it better than the Judy Collins, but not as much as Nancy Walker and the next one.
Oh, the next one is absolutely my favorite, but I think Edgar's my number 2.
Yep, definitely.
Edgar's my number 2 just because it had that the one that I remember so vividly with Fozzie trying to be a ventriloquist. But listen, if we get to our next special guest and people say they don't know who it is, use in trouble.
Well, excuse me.
Absolutely. We are on episode 208 at this point. We have a fantastic guest in none other than Mr. Steve Martin himself.
Yes, I love this episode. Probably my favorite episode of all the episodes we've covered so far up to this point on this podcast. And the main reason why is because it was, I didn't, at the time, I knew of Steve Martin, I mean, got, memory of a 6-year-old, however old I was at the time this first aired, but I just remember him at the time, like the guy with the arrow in the head, King Tut. Like, I would see him in things, the jerk. I remember things like that being out. But this episode, it's a different format in a sense, but they also play to his strengths. And he gets in all of his bits, all the things that he's known for. We get the excuse me, we get all that stuff with, we'll talk about it as we break it down. But I really enjoyed this episode.
He's quite handsome, which I think he, as an older man, is also a very handsome man. He's quite handsome when we get him here. And by the way, did you know him and Martin Short are still doing their show, their live show that you can go to right now?
I would love to see that.
I would love. There's no European dates on here that I can see. There's one in Connecticut.
Really?
Yes. Mashantucket?
Oh, that's Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun. One of the Indian casinos.
There's one in Louisville, one in Nashville, Maryland, New York, in Brookville. I mean, there's not a whole lot but there's no shows near me, sadly. I'm hoping they add. But speaking of another Hulu show, if you guys haven't watched him and Steve Martin and Martin Short in Only Murders in the Building,
new
phenomenal.
Season, August 27th.
Absolutely, and the two of them, Steve Martin by himself is fantastic, but the two of them and Selena Gomez together make this trio that you never knew you needed, and now you want them to go on for years. Yes. They are all so funny and so fantastic.
Oh, such a great show.
It's an absolutely fantastic show. It's a must-see. But if you tell me you don't know Steve Martin, well, we can't be friends. But he is an American comedian, actor, writer, producer, and musician, actually. He's known for his work in comedy, films, television, recording. His list of accolades is outstanding. He's won Grammys, Primetime Emmys, an honorary Academy Award. He's been nominated for Tony Awards. He does have the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, which is huge. That's a Kennedy Center honor.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I just made a new word. He's fantascinating. Yes. He's got a Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. The man is just amazing. I would have to say, before we get into his episode, what is your favorite Steve Martin?
Oh God.
You had to pick, like, this is my jam.
I
put you on
mean,
the spot.
Little Shop of Horrors is up there.
Oh, absolutely.
Roxanne.
Absolutely.
Three Amigos.
That is probably mine.
You probably throw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on there.
Yeah.
What was the one where he plays like he plays the villain in the I think it was like one of the Looney Tunes movies too, where he's pretty over the top and funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I have to say for sure that it is Three Amigos.
Mm-hmm.
The obsession I had with this show, probably way younger than I probably should have been watching this movie, but it was one of those, like, so much went over my head. Listen, I was absolutely obsessed. Of course, he's been on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. He was never really a cast member, though.
No, but
more like a recurring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pink Panther.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
See, I grew up watching the Peter Sellers Pink Panthers. That's
of course. Yeah.
Pretty Rotten Scoundrels.
Oh, for sure.
May I go to the bathroom, please? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
He was actually in the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I was also obsessed with that. My uncle had it.
Yeah. Parenthood. I could throw that on the list too.
Oh, yeah. It's just, honestly, the list, it said he acted in 71 things, and I was like, no, it has to be more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Father of the Bride.
Yeah.
Anyway, phenomenal man. Please watch Only Murders in the Building. Report back. This last season, where he's trying to do the musical bit, and he anyway, so we have Steve Martin here appearing. This was done July 19th, 20th, 21st in 1977. We received this beautiful piece of just masterpiece, pure brilliance, on October 31st of 1977. The UK got it in December 9th of 1977. So huge gap for some weird reason. So according to Brian Henson, this was the only episode to not have a laugh track. Instead, Muppet performers are heard laughing in the background because they're it's their performers. They're legitimately laughing. It was later revealed at Muppet Fest that Richard Hunt's laugh was so loud that some recorded laughter had to be used to drown him out. So it's not that they used the laugh track like they normally do because there's no real audience. This was that, like, the actual Muppet performers were laughing so hard at Steve Martin they had to lower the decibels of laughter. Footage of Kermit's theme intro appears at the beginning of the Muppets. It's the first footage of classic Muppets in the movie, with Walter being the only one in the film up to that moment. Lenny the Blizzard receives his name in this episode. He was in 107, where Florence Henderson actually just called him Lenny, or they just called him simply Lizard, like he didn't have Lenny. Backstage is not shown in this episode, which is very strange. We get a lot of backstage usually. Yeah. This is offstage interactions between Muppets take place in the auditorium. And then we get Hilda and Mildred Huckstetter. They make rare appearances after the first season, and they're in the audience. So we get a lot of Steve, by the way.
Yes.
I feel like we get a
Very
decent,
much so.
this, you know what? You're right. It's always the ones with a lot of interaction from the guests that you and I end up saying, like, that's my favorite. So with our cold open, Scooter gets a glimpse of Steve Martin's routine and determines that he'll feel right at home on the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
The look on
Steve
takes it as a compliment.
Well, he has the arrow in the head, so yeah. We get a disclaimer at the top of this one on Disney
Did we?
Plus.
I missed it. Okay.
We did. So I'm trying to figure out, and when we get there, I have one guess. I don't know, but
I have it pulled up now. Let me see. Program includes negative depictions and or treatments of people of cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then, they are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark... Oh, stop! Don't play. I had you paused. And spark... What does it spark, Andy?
Oh, I don't have it up, so... Spark conversations? I don't know.
Probably conversation, I guess. But, yeah. Anyway, but what's funny is, and then it pops up and says contains tobacco depictions as well, like up in the corner. But the rating is 0+, so make it make sense.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it is. So you're saying you don't know what it is yet?
I have a guess. I have a guess, but we'll get when we get to it. I'll say what it is.
Okay. So the Muppet Show theme, Gonzo's trumpet this time blows green smoke. Not as funny as the others, but I mean, that they're not supposed to be like super funny, you know.
It's just supposed to be that the trumpet doesn't sound like a trumpet.
Right. So Kermit tells the audience that he has some bad news. Wardorf suggests that they might be lucky, and the show has been canceled. Which I want to be like Statler. It's like the people on TikTok that's like, I don't want to see this. And I'm like, you're only like, I complained to Andy about this before we started recording. Statler and Wardorf, who continuously keep sitting in the box and watching the show and complaining about the show, are that generation's people who watch TikToks and complain about seeing that TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kermit tells the audience that he's misread his calendar and had scheduled new acts to audition. Steve comes on stage to protest this cancellation, but it's too late. The audience, except Statler and Wardorf, who choose to stay, leave the theater as the cast and crew get ready to watch the new acts.
And he hits him with the excuse me. So we've gotten two Steve Martin, what he's known for, his bits.
Worried for his job, though, Fozzie asks Kermit if he's just auditioning new acts as opposed to replacements, but it has not yet been determined. So Cooter, I've made a new name.
What is this, Dukes of Hazzard?
I guess so. Kermit asks Scooter to bring on the first act, which, by the way, I've always loved this one. So the first act is how do you say this?
Lautrec sisters.
Lautrec. I wrote it down then I forgot how to pronounce it. The Lautrec sisters, which are a group of dancing rats, and they do can. Which,
it was cute.
I'm sorry. This can be seen on the Heat Wave Miss Piggy can song as well.
Okay.
This is apparently used a few times. So an excerpt of this, words are hard, also appears in Elmo's World, the dancing episode. And I had to think about this because we used to have like every Elmo's World DVD possible.
Yeah, so did we, yeah.
When Elmo opens the closet door to reveal what he is thinking about, the tune also appears briefly in Frogs, underscoring Elmo as a frog, doing the frog kick. Elmo, Ernie, Bert, Grover, Cookie Monster, Zoe, and hostess Marina Areola sing and dance to a variation of the can at a stage show, ending with Zoe turning around to the audience and throwing her skirt over, exposing her rear end. A commercial about the letter C is sung to the tune of Sesame Street Podcast with Foley and Friends, episode Farms. So this is used a lot. Apparently, it says the song appears again. We'll see it again in season 5, which will interrupt Carol Burnett in her performance. So, I don't know if you liked this one. I don't know why.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it's another one. I don't know why, but I find it hysterical. Kermit enjoys the act, leaving nervous Fozzie to exclaim, "He liked the dancing rats. What chance does a bear have?"
Yeah. Well, yeah. Fozzie's all nervous that he's going to get replaced.
Poor Fozzie. 2 of the sisters actually appear in one of your favorite things ever.
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow Connection in the Muppet movie. Then we get what I call the Prairie Dawn look-alike.
Mm-hmm.
Scooter brings Mary Louise and a friend, a girl and frog duo, who perform Swanee Ribbit.
Mm-hmm. And gets the hook.
Yeah, she gets the hook. I had it on here earlier while we were talking because my episodes had actually gotten ahead of where we were talking, and I was like, here it's going again. But I love that little thing when she gets on stage that she does where she like sways back and forth like she's getting ready. I love that they refer to it as the vaudevillian cane. Say it for me.
Vaudevillian?
Vaudevillian cane. That's what they're calling it. It comes and pulls Mary Louise off. Off stage, the Swedish Chef and Floyd Pepper discuss their aggravations, basically, about the show being canceled, which I did find fascinating because they're just in the audience, like hanging out. Like they said, Swedish Chef's he's not in his like normal habitat.
Yeah.
Steve has decided to, as an act, he's prepared for the cast. He decides to do Balloon Animals act.
Yep, another one of his signatures back then.
Yeah, but he learns that the others have already seen it performed, and he doesn't want to repeat himself, so he decides to make balloon animals without blowing them up. This doesn't last long, though. So
no,
he later talks about how he gets his balloons. How does he get his balloons?
Oh, God.
Do you remember how he gets his balloons?
I don't, you asking me to remember things that I just watched. Come on.
Listen, when your brain hits over, I would say, tell me if I'm wrong, when your brain hits over like 35, especially if you've had children, asking someone to remember something 10 minutes later is probably not likely.
No, it's not. It's a recipe for disaster.
We're if you ask that same group of people something that happened when they were 10, they can tell you.
Yes, exactly.
We're good like that. But listen, we remember our children's names to make sure they're clean and to feed them, so we're good. So he says he gets his balloons from a balloon farm.
Oh.
However, the parent of Steve's balloons comes and attacks him. Poor little Louise. This is Terry Louise this time.
Yes, it's pretty funny how becomes a recurring gag here.
So we get Terry Louise and friend performing Tie a Yellow Ribbit Round the Old Oak Tree. Again, we're put to kind of an abrupt stop.
She gets the hook.
Again. So our next act is comedian Baskerville the Hound. I like Baskerville. But that we have a problem with Baskerville's act.
Yeah, he kind of looks just like Fozzie.
Yeah, it looks like a dog version of Fozzie.
Mm-hmm.
And the act is... It's Fozzie's act, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know that this dog was actually created in 1962 as a foil for Ralph? And he was in a series of Purina dog chow commercials.
Did not know
And of
that.
course, he's from Sherlock Holmes, Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yep.
But they considered, initially, it says that this was the design they considered for Ralph. And I'm really glad they didn't go with it. But they were like, you know what? Let's not like abandon it. Let's like still use it somehow. But, yeah. So he does his act. It's also ended quickly, but this time by Bye, Fozzie.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be upstage. Not happening.
Yeah. Nope.
My favorite thing is we go off stage again, and we got Kermit and Scooter and Fozzie, and all of them have these like defeated, worried looks that we usually only get from Fozzie and Kermit, and we never usually get them from Fozzie and Kermit at the same time.
No, not normally.
Not normally at all. So Kermit reminds Fozzie, it's really good that we see different people in this line of work. They need to see different people. However, the frog is kind of singing a different tune when he sees who the next act is.
Yep, Lenny the Lizard.
Lenny the Lizard auditions to be what?
The host, the MC.
He wants to be the MC.
Hmm.
We get another act. It's a group from Planet Coosbane. The Fazoobs.
The four Fazoos.
Fazoobs. They do a little unusual musical number.
Anytime you want to put something weird, like really weird, and say they're from Coosbane.
Yeah, basically. I always kind of like these little Coosbanians. Now, listen, the dude that needs a toupee playing his head is like a drum.
Yeah. It's funny how they're kind of playing each other, basically.
Yeah, like one's like a trumpet, one's like a drum. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the Coosbanians. But we slide over to our UK spot, and during this, Gonzo tries to tell Kermit about his new act. Kermit is not having it. Gonzo even says, "Look, I'll audition." Mm-hmm. Kermit it's just a filler of Kermit being like, "No, I'm not doing it." But the UK spot actually continues this time. We so kind of get two UK spots essentially. Scooter introduces Gonzalez and Yolanda.
Mm-hmm. So
Gonzo.
This is where I think the disclaimer might be, because there's a line here where Gonzo has a female dancing cheese, and he said he wouldn't dance with a male, it would be weird. So that's the only thing I can guess. I have the episode on, so I don't know if anything else is going to come up. But that's the only thing I thought that may have stood out about, different from when it was originally, how, men dancing with a man would not be as accepted in 1977, 78, but now.
See, dancing cheese. Are you listening? Will someone find Scooter? And then, what does he says? Kermit, she's a great dancer. She is the female cheese. And he goes, of course it's a female. You don't expect me to dance with a male, do you? Okay. No, you would look weird.
Yeah, it would look weird. So that's the only thing I could think of for this episode.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, I'm sure I absolutely see where some people would be like, what's wrong with dancing with the male? Mm-hmm. But it's not like they were like, I don't really feel like they made like disgusting jokes about it. So no. I feel like that is one that you look at it and you say, okay, well, that was a little like that doesn't work anymore. There's nothing wrong with the male dancing with the male. Okay.
Yeah.
We do get the cheese act though. We do get the dancing cheese, which is funny. It's like flamenco music. Mm-hmm. He's got my favorite is when he spits the rose out. And the cheese does dance, guys. Cheese dances.
The cheese dances. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The cheese basically dances. Gonzo doesn't really dance. The cheese dances. Mm. Mary Louise attempts to audition again, this time as Carrie Louise, performing Old Man Ribbit, but Piggy pulls her off stage, reminding her that she's the only female singer on this show. She's shaking hard too. Like every time this poor thing tries to audition, people just won't let her. And it's not bad either.
Yeah.
Really not bad. Piggy's so jealous.
She's the one that gives her the hook.
Yeah, she does. We get Steve again, and he performs his Rambling Guy act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's an accomplished banjo player, and he's got albums, everything.
He's very good.
Mhm.
I enjoyed this act a lot. It's basically just him performing on the banjo.
Yeah.
Well, isn't Rambling Man actually? Well, this is
Well,
not.
he hasn't
Well,
performed
he
the
does
song
Rambling
Rambling Man.
Guy. This is.
Yeah.
It's not Rambling Man. It's
Yeah,
Rambling
yeah, because
Guy.
Rambling Man is that Allman Brothers song.
Yeah. But what's funny is, so we do get Muppets in this, but not in the sense that we normally get when somebody performs. It's because, again, like the show's been closed down, so they're actually all just enjoying the act. I kind of liked this versus, something else.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I wonder what a show would be like if the Muppet Show was like a show for the Muppets.
Oh.
I was like, wait. Much to everyone's surprise, we get another act, and Sam the Eagle tells Kermit, I'm outraged. I need old-fashioned entertainment. So Scooter can only vouch for the old part.
Mm-hmm.
And we get Statler and Waldorf. They have legs.
Yes.
They have legs.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're in Dapper Dan's kind of outfit, like Dapper Dan's, like you'll
Dapper
see
Day, Disney Dapper Day kind of
Yep.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They perform a song called the Varsity Drag. It was one of the few times on the show that Statler and Waldorf are seen out of their balcony, and it was preceded by a funny little exchange that I think we must mention. Sam says, Kermit, I am appalled. Don't we have some good old-fashioned entertainment? Scooter, and that's when he says, I can only vouch for the old part. So what I left out is Kermit goes, who you got? It says the puppets were performed in a style we have not talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And they said this was best for appropriate. It's Banruka.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. And when I tried to get it to click on it to get more information, it takes me to the wrong page. It takes me to something about chroma key, and I was like, that's I know it.
It's where the back everybody's in black, right? And they're just there.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're performing. They've used it before, I think.
They have. I just didn't realize that was the name of it. We have talked about that. I just didn't realize the full name. Yeah. Okay. Betsy Bird actually dances to an instrumental version of Varsity Drag in episode, again, in season 5. So tonight, we've mentioned several things that apparently repeat into season 5.
Yeah.
I like that Fozzie is up in Waldorf and Statler's box, heckling them.
Roles reversed there.
Yeah. Sam loves their act, of course, and he believes that the show can become more cultural, but his one hope ends when Scooter mentions the next act. So we get Marvin Suggs and the All Food Glee Club performing Yes, We Have No Bananas.
Yes, usually Marvin Suggs plays his Muppaphone, but here it's a little different.
Listen, this is another one that I remember from childhood that I absolutely love. My favorite thing is how they refer to Marvin Suggs. When you look up Marvin, he is referred to as the demented whatnot musician.
Yeah.
And you're right. We saw him with his Muppaphone in episode 105. And then he's going to be back with his Muppaphone in 304.
Yep. The figure I have of Marvin Suggs he's with his Muppaphone. So.
Is he? Mm-hmm. I feel like that's really what he's most known for is time with the Muppaphone. I enjoyed Yes, We Have No Bananas. I think it's fun.
I thought it was a fun sketch.
I think this whole episode is probably
yes.
Same. Yes, We Have No Bananas is actually from 1922 Broadway review.
We have no banana today.
So Kermit and Chicken Liver Lip, I don't know who that is. They lip synced to a recording from the album The Valley Singers side by side in the early 60s and made a guest appearance on the Today Show doing this song. We will get a Swedish Chef later sings this song in mock Swedish. in season 4. And what's funny is that one you'll get a lot of mock Swedish. I'll just say that.
Yes.
We get Steve again, and this time he's performing another act introduced as Juggling Guy. And I loved how they didn't just keep referring to him as Steve. It was like he was Rambling Guy, he was Juggling Guy. This time he accidentally kills one of the oranges he's juggling, and Swedish Chef comes up with the solution. It's a juicer.
There you go.
I mean, why not? Like, I know it's an orange, but it's like when life gives you lemon situation. We get the Flying Zucchini Brothers who audition their human cannonball act. Mm-hmm. However, the cannonball doesn't fire until the curtains have come down.
Yeah. And we get a hole in the theater wall, which we had happen also in an earlier episode tonight. Yep. Which is very reminiscent of Muppets 4D, which the Swedish chef blows a hole in the wall.
Yes.
In the theater. So.
They will come back.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the Zucchini Bros become a recurring act. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna see them several more times this season, and then on into the other seasons as well. How very gonzo of them though for it to not go off until the curtain is closed.
Well, nothing ever goes right in Muppet Land.
Oh no, but I mean nothing ever. It's like Gonzo because he ends up starting to try to shoot himself out of cannons. So I wonder if that's where they got the idea. Because has Gonzo tried to shoot himself out of cannon yet?
I don't think so.
I mean, anyone who's a Muppet fan knows he does that, so it's not like spoiler. I mean, how do you spoil something from 1970?
Yeah, sorry, the statute of limitations is
right.
Passed.
So we get Steve again, and Steve and the Jug band play dueling banjos, which I love. I will say he looks very, when you look him here, he looks very much like, my brain has completely just gone away for the evening. Indiana Jones.
Ah. Yeah, I could see that.
Not Indy specifically, but you know what I'm trying to say. Harrison Ford. He looks like Harrison Ford here.
Okay.
In the way he's dressed and the hair and he looks like Harrison. Which that was the dress of that times. So
yes.
They do dueling banjos. It is fantastic. Briefly, they get accompanied by the crew from they're not Kuzbanian. Yeah, they're Kuzbanian. The Faz group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So they're accompanied by our weird little creatures, the All Food Glee Club, and it's a big finish from the Zucchini Brothers.
Yep. Who almost take out Steve with the cannonball man Muppet thing getting flying through the air.
I love the addition of, like, you have so many different musical additions here. The Jug Band, which I love when we get the Jug Band.
Yep.
They're a bright spot for me, for sure.
We didn't have the Electric Mayhem in any of these episodes, actually. We've seen
them.
Floyd a little bit and Zeus, but
there was something I read about Janice was like in the audience or something.
Yeah, but I haven't really seen Dr. T.
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
And Kermit is jamming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know a frog could jam so well. He was jamming. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? Despite there being no actual show, Kermit thinks that they're special guest star anyway. Steve plays the Muppet Show theme as the credits start to roll.
All right, yeah. Really fun episode.
It was my favorite of the 4 today. I think for me, it goes Steve's episode, then Edgar, Nancy, and Judy.
Yeah, I would just flip Edgar and Nancy for me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I just really like that ventriloquist. I really did like that episode. Like, it's like I said before, I'm repeating myself, I know, but there were skits that I remember to this day. So again, you see something when you're a kid and we remember that. But this time Nickelodeon, Mary Louise's second and third attempts to audition are cut out, as was Floyd's reaction to Marvin Suggs in the All Food Club. Or the All Food Glee Club. Disney Plus, it says, Yes, there is a preceding disclaimer about negative stereotypes in this episode. It says, although no instances are mentioned specifically. So that leads me to believe that many viewers also were not sure.
Yeah.
I am with you. That's the only thing I can think of. Louise Gold, by the way, not to mention her again. This time, she is not uncredited.
Oh, that's good.
She is the Laturk sister and Mary Louise.
Okay.
So, congratulations on not being uncredited this time. So, that's 4 episodes. We've ranked them. We've loved them. I don't know this. I feel like, and I'm probably going to be wrong when I look back on the time that we just recorded that. I feel like that's the fastest we've ever got through them.
Maybe, yeah. We like to talk, and we like to gush about the Muppets, so.
We do. So, moving forward next time, if you guys would like to watch beforehand, clearly we will be doing the next 4. So, episodes 209, 210, 211, and 212. I am super excited about one of these specifically. And I'm sure, well, 2, yes, but 1, like, really excited. I think you could probably guess.
Yeah, I think so.
So.
I think, well, we got Madeline Kahn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited for her. George Burns, really funny. One of my all-time favorite comedic actors, Dom DeLuise.
Absolutely.
And the voluptuous Bernadette Peters.
Yes.
So yes, that's a good quartet.
Yeah,
I think.
that is a fantastic quartet. That one's probably going to be hard to choose. I am most excited for Dom DeLuise. I was always such a huge fan of Dom DeLuise.
Yep. I think Dom and then Madeline, yeah. Mm-hmm.
For sure. So if you would like to watch those prior to our next recording, which we don't know when that's going to be.
Well,
hopefully soon.
Hopefully,
soon.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't be longer than a month or so, a month and a half.
No. And we're starting to, I mean, not that we weren't getting into good names, but there's some good names this season in season 2.
Some more recognizable names.
Yes, that's what it is.
To younger people, I'm guessing.
No, I would say so, because as we start going through the list, I know them. Yeah, like it's definitely getting into the range of a lot of the people that we're seeing now are still alive and we're part of not only your childhood but mine as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We're now breaching that gap into like it's 1978, 77, 78. And so people like me that were born in 85, not much down the road, would also know these people. So
yes,
I'm excited. Mm-hmm. And of course, when we get to the end, there's 24 episodes, yep. And as Andy said, then we will move on to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what you got going on this feed?
Just video jukebox song of the day, weekdays at 8 o'clock. That's 8 a.m. That's usually me, Steve, Keithy. We have others that will pop in here and there. Just had an episode of Cartoons of Our Youth with our friend Jenny. We talked about and watched 2 episodes of her favorite cartoon, Futurama. Mm-hmm. And yeah, looking to see who will be the next guest for Blockbuster Rewatch, which will be Star Wars Rogue One. And also talking about maybe getting another episode of Laughing Theater soon. And you and I will be back probably in the next few weeks to month with the Disney Pod with Steve. So Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And we also on the Disney Pod are really we're really starting to get to, I mean, we have a lot to go, but we are really starting to roll up on like modern day, I guess.
We're catching up.
We are definitely catching up. So check that out. I am here, of course, Lady in the Beard, Bells with Books. We just recently had a Bells with Books episode come out. I hope you enjoy. It was biography month for the last one that we recorded. So that was fun. That was a new area for us. It's not something I read many of, biographies. So we do have a Place to Be Facebook group where there's I mean, I will say, and I don't think this is anything negative, it is heavy wrestling, but every episode I record and someone asks me about the group, I encourage everyone to join because it is for everyone. If you are a listener of Place to Be, or if you are one of our many multi-talented people here at Place to Be, it's for you. And I would love to see more listeners that listen to like Lady in the Beard and Bells with Books and some of our sports podcasts to like head on over there and like join in the conversation, create conversation, be part of the crew.
Yeah, we have the greatest cartoon tournament coming. This cartoon TV show. So yeah, and you can only vote and participate if you are a member of the group.
You have to be a member of the group.
So you got to join.
Fun fact, unless you look like a bot or a scammer, I approve you. I'm just saying. I'm not the only one that does approving, but like if it pops up for me to do it, like usually if you don't look scammy or bottish, you win. But if you become scammy or bottish or scummy, you out.
Yeah, we gotta boot you. We get the hook, like Prairie, whatever her name is, Mary Louise.
Carrie Louise, and Terry Louise.
Yes, you'll get the hook.
You'll vaudevillian your ass out of here. Yeah, there's always something from everyone here on the feed. I really appreciate everyone that comes every time. I will also say, if you have been trying to access the website and it was not working, deeply apologize. It is back up and running. Please go check it out. There's lots over there. Articles, that's where all of the podcasts are centrally located. Of course, if you are not already following, liking, sharing, I know people that listen to podcasts get tired of hearing that, but it really is the biggest thing that you can do for us. Like, share, comment, review. That is huge to not just our feed, but anyone that runs a feed or a show. It's super important. It helps like boost us and get us out there, and it really shows you love us. So do all those things. Keep watching the Muppets, and I don't have anything fun to say.
See you next time on the Most Sensational, Inspirational, Celebrational, Muppetational, whatever podcast.